Good day, welcome to Rockland Talk Radio. I'm John Marino, and we are produced by Sharc Creative, made possible by Robeson Oil, the house that service built, by Lipolis Electric. Don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis by Hightower Westchester, managing your wealth to a fiduciary standard, by White Plains Hospital, and also by Michael Labriola, landscape design and construction, and by Tompkins Mahopac Bank. We are joined here on Rockland Talk Radio, the Cup of Joe political show, by State Assemblyman Mike Lawler. Mike Lawler represents the 97th District, covering the southern portion of Rockland County. Mike Lawler, welcome back to Rockland Talk Radio. I want to begin by getting your thoughts on the situation in Afghanistan.
Well, it's a terrible tragedy. Obviously, we're heartbroken at the loss of life among our United States military, as well as citizens in Afghanistan. And, you know, right now we are at a breaking point. The President of the United States and the military commanders that are working with him must act. We are still at war with a terrorist organization that have taken back control of Afghanistan. And we need to do everything we can to make sure that our United States citizens, our military, and citizens in Afghanistan who helped our military throughout the course of the past 20 years are evacuated. We cannot leave anyone behind. And while the president has a hard deadline of August 31st, I don't think that that's responsible or reasonable given the situation on the ground. And I think they need to change course and act very quickly to ensure that our men and women are evacuated.
Back home locally a couple of weeks ago now, former Governor Andrew Cuomo announced his resignation. You have been an outspoken critic of Andrew Cuomo. How did his resignation take you? I was in the middle of just dialing into a Zoom meeting I'm going to be 65 soon, for my first Medicare conference, and I abruptly had to end that. As we all, I'm sure, abruptly had to end whatever we were doing at that point.
Yeah, I was in the middle of a housing committee hearing with many of my colleagues in the state assembly in New York City, and obviously the governor had his attorney out there bashing all the women, and then he proceeded to do a press conference himself where he announced that he would be resigning. So, you know, it was quite jarring, although the pressure was on. And so, you know, he finally came to the, fifth stage of grief with the acceptance. And, I think obviously it was past due time for him to resign. I was the first member of the state legislature to call for his resignation back in February. And I believe very strongly that our state is better off without Andrew Cuomo as our governor. He was corrupt. His 11 years bred one corruption scandal after the next. And obviously he was done in by his own conduct with respect to women, and also his conduct with respect to the nursing home scandal, in which he sent COVID positive patients into nursing homes, resulting in the deaths of nearly 15,000 seniors, and then covered it up while securing himself a $5.1 million blood money book deal. And so it was long overdue, his resignation. And I'm hopeful that the investigations that are still going on, both by the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, the Albany County Sheriff and District Attorney, and the Assembly Judiciary Committee, will result in appropriate criminal and civil charges against the governor and his most senior staff, who were part and parcel of these crimes.
Why was he allowed to remain in office for 2 more weeks? For example, one big fear was that he might issue a pardon or two that might not be kosher.
Well, and he did. Here in Rockland County, he issued a commutation to the 75-year sentence of David Gilbert, a domestic terrorist who was part of the Weather Underground and helped plan and execute the 1981 Brinks robbery, which resulted in the deaths of security guard Peter Page, Nyack Police Sergeant Edward O'Grady, and Nyack Police Officer Waverly Brown. And obviously, we are deeply outraged about that here in Rockland. I have voiced that opposition. I will continue to do what I can to stop the parole board from granting parole for David Gilbert. He's a cop killer. He does not belong back on the streets, no matter how good he may be in terms of his 40-year sentence and the work that he's done in prison. Doesn't matter. He participated in the death of law enforcement officers, and he must be held accountable for that. And I think the governor, he gave himself an extra 2 weeks. And unfortunately, the speaker and my colleagues in the majority decided not to move forward with impeachment. My feeling was he should have been impeached and removed from office and not given the extra 2 weeks. But then again, I called for his resignation and impeachment back in February. So I felt he didn't deserve the extra 7 months that he was in office.
You're continuing your push to have the Tappan Zee Bridge, as we really know it, I guess, renamed the Tappan Zee Bridge instead of the Mario M. Cuomo Bridge. Some might say, well, it's not named the Andrew Cuomo Bridge. The feeling is if he could have gotten away with naming it the Andrew Cuomo Bridge, he would have done that. How do you answer those who say, well, it's the Mario Cuomo Bridge, not the Andrew Cuomo Bridge, so why not let it stand?
Well, let's be clear about a few things. As you said, if he could have named it the Andrew M. Cuomo Bridge, he would have, but he couldn't, and so he settled for Mario. Mario Cuomo enabled Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo was Mario's fixer. He was his thug back in the 1980s when he was governor. And frankly, a lot of why Andrew Cuomo rose to prominence is because his father allowed him to conduct himself in such a manner. So this idea that, well, Mario's not Andrew, no, they were part and parcel, number one. Number two, the Cuomo name is what was put on that bridge for a reason. It was an ego-driven affair by Andrew. And so the Cuomo name, as far as I'm concerned, has been disgraced by the governor's conduct, his own conduct, not mine, not anyone else's. So he has no one to blame but himself. And third of all, that bridge never should have been renamed to begin with. The Tappan Zee name reflects the heritage of this region. It should have stayed that way. It was done in a backroom deal in the middle of the night so that the governor, in his narcissistic ways, could get his family's name on the bridge. It needs to come off, and that's why I've introduced the bill back in March of this year.
Rockland Assemblyman Mike Lawler represents the 97th District, southern portion of Rockland County. Mike Lawler, have you had any interactions along the way with Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, previously as Lieutenant Governor? Now her first few days in office as governor, she actually came through to many by admitting that the Cuomo administration underestimated or undercounted the number of people who passed away in nursing homes from COVID by 12,000.
Yeah, I have not had the opportunity to speak with the now governor, but my concerns are such that she had a very moderate voting record as a member of Congress, in her time in government in Erie County, and since taking the lieutenant governor spot, obviously she has pushed and advanced the policies of the Cuomo administration. And in just the last few days, I think we've seen, kind of a hard left turn. And so that's a little disconcerting and deeply alarming. I was hoping she would kind of revert back to some of her roots as a more moderate to conservative upstate representative. And so we're not seeing that as of yet. And so, hopefully, in the coming weeks, we will see some effort on her part to work in a bipartisan manner to address a lot of these challenges that we're facing. I do think it was good that she released the additional information with respect to the additional 12,000 deaths that were underreported by the Cuomo administration. But I still don't understand why Howard Zucker is still the commissioner of health. Obviously, he participated in that cover-up. He executed upon the governor's orders. And if he felt so strongly that it was inappropriate or wrong, then he should have resigned in protest and said so publicly. He did not. He was part of it. And so he needs to be fired immediately. And so that's something that I really hope the lieutenant governor will, the now governor will take up in the coming days.
How about her selection of Manhattan State Senator Brian Benjamin as lieutenant governor? Of course, he was nominated. I guess he has to go through the process before he becomes lieutenant governor. Your thoughts on Brian Benjamin? Have you worked together with him along the way?
I do not know the senator from Harlem. But what I can say is based on his policy positions and the issues that he is advocating for, including cashless bail and certain parole bills such as less is more, and his advocacy for defunding the police, I think it's deeply concerning that the governor has chosen him as her running mate. I think it is something where, his policy positions are not in line with the vast majority of New Yorkers, and certainly not those here in Rockland County.
The race for governor is already underway for 2022. I guess Kathy Hochul, you would have to say at this point, is the lead candidate among the Democrats. On the Republican side, we have a three-way affair. We have Long Island Congressman Lee Zeldin, we have Andrew Giuliani, and Rob Astorino, the one-time Westchester County executive who you worked for. Your thoughts on the race where it stands right now?
Well, obviously the race is underway. I know all three candidates. I worked for Rob. I ran his campaign back in 2014. Rob did a great job as county executive, and I certainly believed then and believe now he would make a great governor. Lee Zeldin is a longtime friend. I helped recruit him to run for Congress back in 2014 when I was executive director of the state Republican Party. And so I've known him a very long time. He's done a great job representing us out in Long Island. And obviously he is at this point the presumed front runner for the nomination, having the support of many of the county committees and chairs on both the Republican and conservative sides. And so, we'll see how that primary shakes out. Either way, I will certainly look forward to working with whomever our nominee is, because we need to move this state in a new direction. We need to address so many of the scandals and problems that have taken place under the last 11 years under Andrew Cuomo. And starting with the need to cut taxes, cut regulations, grow our economy, create new jobs here, and reverse the trend of New Yorkers migrating to other states. We've led the nation in outmigration year after year under Andrew Cuomo, and that needs to change. And the only way we're going to do that is by changing the policies. And we need to address the issue of public safety. New York is facing a rapid rise in crime and gun violence all across the state. And it's because of the policies that have been advocated for and implemented by the Democratic majorities in the Senate and the Assembly and under Andrew Cuomo and Kathy Hochul. And so that's something that really needs to change. I think our Republican candidates will offer a new vision for the state and a new direction. And so obviously that's something that I'm going to be advocating for over the next year and a half.
Mike Lawler, Rockland County Assemblyman, 97th District. The southern portion of Rockland is the area he represents. We thank you for joining us again here on Rockland Talk Radio. Hope we get to do it again soon. All the best.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. All the best to you and to Nathan, your staff.
Thanks,
too.
John. Take care.
All right, you too, Mike Lawler. Here on Rockland Talk Radio, the Cup of Joe political show. We are produced by Sharc Creative. Made possible by Robeson Oil, the house that's service built by Lipolis Electric. Don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis. By Hightower Westchester, managing your wealth to a fiduciary standard. Also by White Plains Hospital and Michael Labriola, landscape design and construction of Armonk, and by Tompkins Mahopac Bank. Catch all of our Rockland, Westchester, Putnam, Dutchess, Orange, and Fairfield County talk radio programming on our YouTube channel, Sharc Creative YouTube.